Nobody saw this coming, and now it's too late to ignore. Ashlee Jenae thought she was stepping into a dream vacation with the man she was about to marry, but what she discovered behind those luxury villa doors has left the internet in complete shock. Because this wasn't just a simple argument, this was betrayal on a level that people close to her are calling unforgivable. Sources are now claiming that Ashlee didn't just find messages, she allegedly uncovered something happening right under her nose, something that completely shattered her trust in a matter of seconds. And what makes this even more disturbing? It reportedly involved multiple women locals and a pattern of behavior that suggests this wasn't the first time. Imagine being in a foreign country, isolated, surrounded by people you don't fully know, and suddenly realizing the person you trusted most has been living a double life right in front of you. That's exactly what insiders are saying pushed Ashlee to her breaking point. But here's where it gets even darker. Because what happened after that discovery, the argument, the screaming, the chaos, that's the part nobody can fully explain yet. And trust me, it only gets worse from here. To understand how this situation spiraled out of control, you have to go back to the beginning, because this wasn't just a random vacation gone wrong. This was a relationship that had warning signs written all over it. Ashlee Jenae wasn't just some random name in this story. She was someone people described as ambitious, confident, and deeply invested in her relationship. Friends say when she loved hard, the kind of person who would go all in, no hesitation, no second thoughts. And then there was Joe. At first glance, he looked like the perfect partner. Well-traveled, charming, connected, the type of guy who knew how to move in different environments and make people feel comfortable. But behind that polished image, insiders claim there was always something off. Because while Ashlee saw stability, others saw unpredictability. Sources now say Joe had a history of disappearing for hours, sometimes days, with vague explanations that never quite added up. And every time Ashlee questioned him, it would turn into tension, arguments, the emotional standoffs that ended with her apologizing, even when she wasn't the one in the wrong. That dynamic? It didn't start in Zanzibar, it followed them there. According to people close to the couple, this trip was supposed to be a reset, a chance to reconnect, to escape the noise, to focus on each other before officially stepping into marriage. But instead of peace, they walked straight into chaos. Because the moment they arrived, things reportedly started feeling different. Locals have now come forward claiming Joe wasn't acting like a tourist. He was moving like someone who already knew the environment, the people, the system. He wasn't discovering the place, he was navigating it like it was already his second home. And that raised eyebrows almost immediately.
Why?
Because Ashlee didn't know that side of him. Imagine being with someone you think you fully understand, only to realize they have an entirely separate life you were never introduced to. That's exactly what insiders say began to happen. There were whispers, quiet conversations between staff, looks exchanged when Joe walked by, the kind of subtle signals that don't make sense at first but start to feel louder the longer you stay. And then came the arguments. Not small disagreements, not minor misunderstandings. We're talking heated, emotional confrontations that reportedly became impossible to ignore. One insider claimed that voices were raised so loudly at one point that neighboring guests actually alerted staff.
Think about that.
You're on what's supposed to be a luxury, private getaway, and your arguments are so intense that strangers are getting involved. That's not normal. That's pressure building fast. And here's where things start to get even more uncomfortable. Because according to multiple reports, the tension wasn't just about personality clashes. It was about behavior. Ashlee allegedly started noticing patterns. Joe leaving unexpectedly, returning late, acting distant, guarded with his phone. The kind of signs that make your gut start screaming before your mind can even process what's happening. And when she started connecting the dots, that's when everything shifted. Because what she allegedly discovered wasn't just a suspicion, it was confirmation. And once that truth came out, there was no going back. The relationship didn't just crack, it exploded. And the people around them, they could feel it. Staff members reportedly began separating them, moving Joe to a completely different villa, creating distance that felt less like a convenience and more like damage control. But even that didn't stop the tension. Because when emotions reach that level, distance doesn't calm things down, it makes everything louder. And according to insiders, that separation may have actually made things worse. because now Ashlee wasn't just hurt. She was alone in a place that suddenly didn't feel safe anymore. And what she would discover next is what pushed everything over the edge. This is where everything completely spiraled out of control. Because what Ashlee allegedly discovered wasn't just cheating, it was something far more calculated, far more humiliating, and far more explosive than anyone expected. According to insider leaks that started surfacing online, Ashlee didn't just suspect Joe was stepping out. She reportedly caught him in the act of a pattern. We're talking repeated behavior. Not one woman, not two, but multiple local women being brought into the same environment, the same trip, the same place that was supposed to represent their relationship. Let that sink in. The same villa meant for romance, allegedly being used for betrayal. Sources claim the moment Ashlee realized what was happening, everything changed instantly. No more quiet suspicion, no more holding it in. It turned into a full-blown confrontation. And not the kind you can walk away from. Witnesses now say the argument that followed was one of the most intense scenes anyone at that resort had seen in a long time. We're talking screaming, accusations flying back and forth, doors slamming, emotions completely out of control. One staff member allegedly told a local outlet, "Whatever she found, it broke her completely." And that wasn't even the worst part. Because according to reports, Ashlee didn't just confront Joe with words. She reportedly had evidence. Messages, names, patterns, enough to make denial almost impossible. And insiders claim Joe's reaction didn't calm things down, it made everything worse. Instead of de-escalating, he allegedly became defensive, dismissive, even aggressive in tone. Now imagine that moment. You're already hurt, already feeling betrayed, and instead of accountability, you're met with resistance. That's the kind of situation that doesn't cool off. It ignites. And ignite it did. Guests nearby reportedly heard Ashlee shouting about being disrespected, about being made to look like a fool, about everything she had invested into the relationship. And then came the moment that changed everything. Because according to one viral post that's been circulating, Ashlee allegedly shouted something that stunned everyone within earshot. "You brought them here while I was here?" That line alone sent shockwaves online. Because if true, it means this wasn't happening behind her back miles away. It was happening right in her presence. That's not just betrayal. That's humiliation. And at that point, the situation reached a breaking point. Staff reportedly stepped in. Not casually, urgently. Because whatever was happening inside that villa had escalated beyond a private argument. Joe was moved to a different villa roughly 8 to 10 minutes away. A detail that at first seemed like a solution, but quickly started raising even more questions. Because here's the twist nobody saw coming. Some locals are now claiming that this separation didn't just happen for safety. It may have also created a very specific timeline. A timeline that, according to online theories, made it almost impossible for Joe to be physically present during what happened next. Too convenient? That's exactly what people are asking. Because suddenly, the argument wasn't just about cheating anymore. It became about who knew what and when. And here's where things take an even darker turn. Because after that explosive confrontation, after the separation, after everything seemed like it might cool down, Ashlee was left alone. Alone with her thoughts. Alone with what she had just discovered. Alone in a place that no longer felt like an escape, but a trap. And according to insiders, that's when something shifted. Something no one around her fully understood at the time, but everyone is now trying to piece together. Because what happened in the hours after that argument is still surrounded by unanswered questions. And the deeper people look into it, the more disturbing it becomes. Just when people thought this situation couldn't get any more intense, it completely exploded online. Because the hours after that argument, that's where the story stops being just about betrayal and starts turning into something much darker, something far more complicated, and something the internet still can't fully agree on. According to emerging reports, Ashlee didn't just stay quiet after that confrontation. She reportedly reached out to someone. And this is where the second twist hits hard. A close friend has now allegedly come forward claiming Ashlee sent messages shortly after the argument, messages that didn't sound like someone just upset, but someone who felt trapped, shaken, and genuinely afraid. One message that's been circulating in screenshots reads, I don't feel safe here anymore. Now pause for a second. This isn't just heartbreak. This isn't just anger. That's fear. And the moment that message hit social media, everything changed. Because now the narrative shifted from relationship drama to something far more serious. But it doesn't stop there. Because while Ashlee was allegedly sending those messages,
Joe?
He was reportedly seen moving around the resort like nothing had happened.
Calm.
Unbothered. Even interacting with people like it was just another normal evening. That contrast? It raised major red flags. How can one person be in complete emotional distress while the other appears completely unaffected? That question alone started fueling thousands of theories online. And then the timeline started getting even more confusing. Because according to the official account, a staff member returned to Ashlee's villa after she had borrowed a charger. But here's the part that has everyone questioning everything: the timing. She allegedly asked him to return within minutes, but he came back later than expected. And when he did, everything had changed. Now social media is flooded with speculation. Some people are saying the delay doesn't make sense. Others are asking why certain details weren't immediately reported. And a growing number are questioning whether the full story is even being told. Because here's the shocking reveal that pushed this into full-blown controversy. There are claims, unconfirmed but spreading rapidly, that multiple people were questioned behind the scenes. Not just Joe, not just staff, but others connected to the situation.
Why?
That's the question nobody can answer yet. And then came the detail that completely shook the internet. Reports began circulating about an item found outside the villa, not inside. An item that allegedly belonged to Ashlee. And what made it even more disturbing was the claim that it may have had traces of blood. Now listen, this part hasn't been officially confirmed, but the fact that it's even being discussed, it has taken the story to a whole different level. Because now people aren't just asking what happened during the argument, they're asking what happened after. And more importantly, who else might have been involved? Meanwhile, Joe's past is being dragged into the spotlight like never before. Old stories, old relationships, old accusations. Everything is resurfacing. People are digging into his history, pointing out patterns, highlighting moments that at the time didn't seem significant. But now, they look very different. And here's what's making this even more intense. Locals are now speaking up. Quietly at first, but now louder than ever. Some are claiming Joe wasn't just familiar with the area. He was connected. Connected enough to understand how things work behind the scenes. Connected enough to know who to talk to and when. Now, are those claims verified?
No.
But are they spreading fast? Absolutely. And once the internet locks onto a narrative like this, it doesn't let go. Because suddenly, this isn't just a story about a relationship gone wrong. It's a story about power, influence, and what really happens when something goes wrong far away from home. And just when people thought they had seen everything, another twist started to emerge. Because according to one insider, there's still information that hasn't been released yet. And if that's true, then what we're seeing right now might only be the beginning. The moment this story hit social media, it didn't just trend, it exploded. Within hours, timelines were flooded, comment sections turned into battlegrounds, and millions of people started picking sides without even knowing the full truth. Because this wasn't just drama anymore. This felt personal. Hashtags started circulating almost instantly. Hashtag Justice for Ashlee. Hashtag What Really Happened. Hashtag Zanzibar Mystery. And just like that, the internet went into full investigation mode. One viral tweet read, "This ain't adding up. Too many coincidences, too many gaps." Another user fired back, "Y'all turning this into a conspiracy when it's clearly a toxic relationship that went too far." And just like that division, two completely different narratives started forming. On one side, you had people convinced something deeper happened, something that wasn't being fully explained. On the other side, you had users arguing that this was simply the tragic result of emotional pressure, betrayal, and a relationship collapsing in real time. But then celebrities started paying attention. And when that happens, everything gets louder. One influencer with millions of followers posted, "If even half of these reports are true, this is bigger than relationship drama." Another public figure commented, This is why people need to be careful who they travel with. Not everything is what it seems. Those posts alone pulled in millions of views and pushed the story even further into the spotlight. Meanwhile, bloggers and commentary channels started breaking down every second of the timeline. Every movement, every gap, every statement. People were analyzing it like a case file, zooming in on details, comparing timestamps, replaying scenarios over and over again, because something about it just didn't feel complete. And then came the debates about Joe. His name started trending, and not in a good way. Some users labeled him manipulative. Others called him misunderstood. But the most intense reactions came from those focusing on the alleged cheating. One comment that gained thousands of likes said, "Flying your fiancé out just to disrespect her like that? That's evil." Another replied, "We don't even know the full story and y'all already convicted him." And just like that, the argument kept escalating. But here's where things took an even more serious turn, because media outlets started picking up the story. Not just blogs, not just gossip pages. Actual reports started referencing the situation, carefully choosing words, but still highlighting the controversy. Phrases like ongoing investigation, unconfirmed reports, conflicting timelines, all of it added to the tension. Because when official language starts sounding cautious, people start asking why. And then came the family angle. That's when emotions really took over. People began putting themselves in Ashlee's position, imagining the fear, the betrayal, the isolation. And others started thinking about Joe's side, questioning what pressure he might be under, what hasn't been revealed yet. The conversation shifted from just what happened to who do you believe? And once that question enters the chat, there's no going back, because belief turns into loyalty, and loyalty turns into conflict. Now you've got entire communities arguing, defending, accusing, analyzing, all while the actual truth remains unclear. And just when it seemed like things couldn't get more intense, a statement, or what people believed was a statement, started circulating online. Unverified, unconfirmed, but powerful enough to shake everything again, because it hinted that more details could be coming soon. And if that's true, then everything people think they know right now might just be the surface. Just when the internet thought it had pushed the story as far as it could go, everything changed again. Because a new detail started circulating quietly at first, then louder and louder, until it became impossible to ignore. And this one doesn't just raise questions, it flips the entire narrative upside down. According to a source claiming to be close to the situation, there may have been another confrontation, not the one people already know about. A second moment. A second interaction. One that allegedly happened after the main argument, and before everything went completely silent.
Now think about that.
If that's true, then the timeline everyone has been debating, it's incomplete. And suddenly those gaps people were pointing out don't look like coincidences anymore. They look like missing pieces. But here's where it gets even more intense. Because along with that claim came whispers about unreleased footage. Not confirmed, not verified, but heavily discussed. Footage that allegedly exists. Footage that reportedly hasn't been made public. Footage that could show movements, interactions, or moments no one has seen yet. And if that footage is real, then everything changes. Because right now, people are arguing based on fragments. But footage? That's something you can't easily explain away. And yet, it hasn't surfaced.
Why?
That's the question driving everyone crazy. Some believe it's being held for legal reasons. Others think it could expose too much. And a growing number of people are starting to wonder, what if it tells a completely different story than what's being discussed right now? And then came the most chilling claim of all. A message, allegedly sent, but never publicly addressed. A message that, if real, could completely shift how people view Ashlee's final hours. The content hasn't been fully revealed, but those who claim to have seen it describe it as disturbing, emotional, and very telling. Now pause for a second. If there are messages, footage, and interactions that haven't been released, then what we're seeing right now isn't the full picture. It's just what's been allowed to surface. And that realization? That's what has people the most unsettled. Because it means the truth might still be hidden. And here's the part that keeps everyone on edge. Multiple insiders are now hinting that a major update could drop at any moment. Not speculation, an actual development. Something official. Something that could either confirm everything or completely destroy the narrative people have built. So now the question isn't just what happened. The real question is, what haven't we been told yet? Because if even half of these new claims are true, then this story isn't over. Not even close. And the next update? It might change everything again. Now I need you to be honest. After hearing everything, all the twists, all the unanswered questions, what do you think really happened here? Do you believe this was just a relationship that spiraled out of control? Or do you think there's something deeper going on that hasn't been fully revealed yet? Drop your thoughts in the comments right now, because this is one of those situations where every perspective matters and the conversation is only getting louder. And listen, don't just scroll past this. Because if the rumors about new evidence, messages, or footage are true, then the next update on this story could be even more shocking than what we just broke down. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Because the moment something new drops, you already know we're going to break it down instantly. This story is still unfolding, and trust me, you're not going to want to miss what comes next.